can tell you when you skin your first knee. I can tell you when you saw your first sea. I can tell you who you thought you would be. Can you tell me anything about me?
And howdy, howdy. It's another week gone by. Hope everybody had a good week so far. I kind of had a pretty good week myself. Just like keep rolling around over here. Anyway, let's say hi to everybody before we get too deep into it. See who got the summer cookie? Looks like that train guy 94 did. Thomas, congratulations. Enjoy your cookie. Glad to see you here. And let's see, Quasimodo, he got the half cookie. Quasi, always good to see you here. John Nippenberg of Landmark Yards, he got the crumbs, but he seems to be happy about it. Good to see you here, John. And Gerald Stewart, hey Gerald, how you doing? Good to see you here. Let's see, Tom Grassi, hey Tom, good to see you. Chuck Schreiber, Chuck, how's it going? Good to see you here. Schuylkill River Valley, happy birthday, John. Good to see you here. Hot Dog Pie with Andy, hope you got that coffee. Anyway, good to see you here. And that seems to be that everybody. Possibly. I guess that's everybody. All right, cool. All right, so don't mention it, John. It's almost habit now. I gotta wish you a happy birthday anytime I see you or hear from you. Anyway, we got a lot going on tonight. I started a new project, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. It's kind of a big project, but not huge big, but probably going to take me several weeks to get it all finished out and looking good. And we'll see. Let's see what else we got going on here. So, printer's been working overtime, the 3D printer. It's literally been running, well, I don't run it at night, but during the day it's been running non-stop for the last 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. So it's been cranking it out, man. I've already gone through 2.5 spools of filament. So that's how big of a project I'm running here. Dundas Junction Model Railroad. How you doing, James? Good to see you here. Rick's Trains. How you doing, Rick? Good to see you. Did I miss anybody? Nope. So, anyway, I guess I probably shouldn't screw around too much. Well, I probably do, but now the internet connection's a little iffy tonight, and I just updated to the latest OBS. It's version 32 or something like that. And it's swinging between green, yellow, and red. I don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, I can see it's not really affecting the audio too much, but I don't know. I think you're probably going to see some jerky video. Hard telling. So, well, anyway, hopefully it'll clear up. There is a storm outside. It's not over us, but it's near us. So I don't know if that'll cause any issues or not. I gotta figure out what the hell's going on. I mean, Starlink's got a good signal. I updated the OBS, so I'm not sure what's going on here, why I'm not getting a good signal. Should be. Anyway, enough of that shit. Oh, bullshit, new name for OBS. Could be, man, I'll tell you what. Maybe it's a smoke like we have. Now, we do have the sand, though. The Sahara sand. Been pretty thick over Florida. Matter of fact, I had some, not real bad, but minor issues with breathing. I could actually breathe it in. And that was in the house, you know. So I don't know what the hell's going on here. James says visibility here is 0. That's not good. You guys got a lot of smoke up there? Or? I don't know. Anyway, it's just like I said, just one of those things. I have to deal with it. And I hate to have to... I'm pretty sure it's not Starlink. Because if it was, I would have to go back to Comcast, because this is why I left Comcast. But I wasn't having near as many problems with it as I am now. The internet in Kentucky sucks. Okay, well, that's typical. Chuck says, yeah, we got plenty of rain. James says, lots of smoke in Utah. Okay, yeah, so, well, you know, the whole world's going to shit anyway. You know. Hey, Dwight, how's it going? Curly Express. He's the newest member of the Bamboo Club. He just got himself a Bamboo A1. Tom says, I think we should put large fans on the U.S.-Canada border and blow the smoke back into Canada. There you go. That's not good. Lots of smoke, visibility 50%. Yeah. Heard about the Canadian Minnesotan wildfire smoke heading my way. Yeah, I tell you, we're at the mercy of everything here, you know. What happened there? I didn't get the messages. I got a little swirly thing going on there. Or did you do that on purpose? Let's see what else. So, you'll see behind me. Well, maybe you will. I can't really see behind me here. Let me move over here. I got new wheels for my chair. I got the big caster wheels. The urethane. They work kind of a lot better than the old ones did, because the old ones were falling apart. But they don't always do what I want when I go to sit in the chair. It keeps wanting to roll backward, like for a foot or two. So you have to lean it against something to go sit in it. Stupid. Let's see here. Thank you, Chuck. So anyway, you can see back there, there's a big styrofoam thing. That was my old tunnel on the back of the layout. It looked stupid. It was ugly. And I decided I didn't like it anymore, so decided it's got to go. So what I did was, Mercer County, PA, smoke so bad, can't see 50 foot to the street. Wow, that is bad. How's it going, Dave? Good to see you here. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's just out and back in YouTube seems to be fixed now. Well, I don't know. Like I said, it's kind of iffy. We'll just have to kind of deal with it. Anyway, I'm going to show you a quick video that I shot. That kind of sort of explaining what I'm doing. And then I'll show you the end result, or part of the result. So here you go. Hopefully it plays all right. Alright, so we're taking off the bridge and the tunnel. Those are both gone now. There's the bridge. Bridge is not going back up. I decided to put in a floor for the new tunnels. Going to be two separate tunnels that are lit, that are going to go on the back track, and then where the front track isn't in yet, will be. And then there'll be a ledge on the mountain. The mountain's going to cover the tunnel. The mountain's going to have a ledge on it for the overhead rail. And of course there'll be scenery all over the mountains, and maybe trees, brush and grass, all kinds of shit. So that's the plan for what I'm going to do here. And this is in the very early stages. And of course I've got to print the tunnels. And you'll see those tunnels here in a little bit. So stay tuned for more. Does kind of quit abruptly, doesn't it? But anyway, if you caught any of that, I'm going to put a dual tunnel system in back there and a mountain range, and then the mountain will have a ledge on it for the overhead rail to sit on. So it's all going to be incorporated into the mountain range, and of course I'll I've got to build the mountain yet, which I'll probably do out of cardboard, and I've got some plaster cloth, but I don't know if I got enough, so I may need to buy more. I thought about using that red rosin that Tom Kvichak uses, because it does work, but I figured, you know what, I'm accustomed to using the cloth, so I might as well just stick with it, you know. In other words, don't mess with something you don't necessarily know anything about. So we'll see. Rick, I don't know what's going on with you and your wife, but hopefully you do get some good luck there, man. And I know how things go like that. Positive thoughts going out. There you go. So anyway, behind me, I made a lot of changes in here with cameras and stuff and microphones, and I'm trying to get set up for, you know, future work. And I'll show it to you in a minute there, Thomas. So I set up an overhead camera over the new bench, and it's right here, and you can see there's the tunnel hiding behind the styrofoam. You know about the chair wanting to roll back on me? Anyway, we can throw the styrofoam one away now. I don't need it. This is an overhead view. You got the two tunnels. I took the file off of Thingiverse for a tunnel section. I modified the size to make it more conducive for what I needed. And also printed portals. I have another portal print right now on the A1. And oh, hey Ray Central, how you doing? Good to see you here. Oh, sorry to hear that, Rick. My condolences, man. Damn, you guys are just, you know, all kinds of bad news. That's not good. I hope you'll be all right. But so I put bracing on there because I wanted to connect them together. So I've got one solid unit. So I've got lower braces, you can see, and then the top braces, and I've got a middle wall in between the two tunnel portals because there was a space there. Are you making the tunnel from England to France, John? No, it is. It's pretty damn long. It's a little over 3 foot, I think. The actual feet, so it's pretty big. It's also pretty fucking heavy too. But I said, and the holes in the top are for where the lights are going to go in. I don't know if you guys seen my short the other day, or my mail call video. But I got these here. Oops, switch cameras there. I got these here. I got 100 clear LEDs, 5mm. So I'm going to be installing, there's 10 of them that need to go in that tunnel system. And they'll come on with the rest of the lighting. What else? I lost my train of thought for a minute there. Yeah, I think it will be cool, actually. I'm going to really take my time and do a nice job on it. And actually, like I said, I got the idea from Tom Kvichak. You know, Tom's Trains and Things. As a matter of fact, there he is now. And because he's doing a lot of landscaping for his new coal station, I guess, or Quick's Coal, I guess it is. And he's doing a really nice job. I'm thinking, you know, there's no reason why I can't do that. Oh, by the way, hi Tom, good to see you here, and hey Derek, good to see you here too. So I figured, I gotta quit screwing around. Sometimes I get in a hurry, and I get this fucking camera here in the right place. There you go. And things don't get done the way I want them to, so I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna start working on one little area at a time and get everything straightened out. Update, modernize, highly detailed if possible. And I've got all the stuff to do it with, I've got plenty of flocking material, bushes, moss. I got tons of that stuff. So I might as well start using some of it, So, okay, I didn't catch that message. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm figuring it could take 2, 3, even 4 weeks to get it finished. Because like I said, I've got a lot of work back there to do. And it probably means there won't be any trains running for a while. I got to replace the track I took out where the bridge was. And I'm probably going to have to disconnect a section of the overhead rail. Because I'll never be able to get the mountain in place with that in the way. Jim, if you're going to work on your layout, be patient, take your time, work day by day. So, well, that's the plan, Tom. It's like I said. I'm watching all you guys doing really excellent work. I'm capable of doing excellent work. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to quit screwing around and start getting some shit done. So like I said, I'm going to go through the whole layout, probably, or most of it. And a lot of things are going to be changed around, updated, highly detailed. Because that's what I want to do, And what the hell else I got to do, right? So, but that's the plan anyway. So I need to go back to the overhead. And I'm going to switch mics here because I got the built-in mic on that camera. Because I don't know if this one will pick up when I turn my back on you. So let me undo that. Alright, can you hear me alright over here? Do I got sound? Hopefully. Yeah, I'm aware of that, Thomas. Thank you. So, can you hear me alright? Audio's good, okay. So, what I've got here, I can take these off now. Like I said, I'm super gluing a lot of stuff. But basically, let me get a better view of this over here. There's the interior of the portals. Like I said, this thing's pretty heavy. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to do old school stuff. And, oh, thanks, Thomas. Thank you, Chuck. And thank you, John. So I'm probably going to do it old school. And I've got a few boxes to use for the cardboard. And basically what I do is I'll cut strips and use the hot glue gun to build my framework for the mountain. And then after that's all set up, then I'll go ahead, it'll be like a crosshatch. I know some of you guys are familiar with that technique. And then I'll put the plaster cloth on. Well, no, but I figured it was easier to connect them, Derek, because this way I don't have any problems with, spacing or anything else. I've got this set up where I got perfect spacing between the tracks. And that's what I wanted to do. So it was kind of important to get that right, and it's going to be consistent. Because basically this is going to be, I'll be able to remove it. Well, not easily. But if I had to remove it, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. To move it for cleaning or some other, if there's a disaster. I don't think I'll have any problems if there's any kind of a derailment in here. The tunnel portals are thin enough to where the car won't get caught in there and not be able to get it out. So in theory, I'd be able to push it through one way or the other. As I said, I'm looking ahead on this and trying to, figure out how to do stuff. And that's true, Tom. It is old school technique. But I've done it before. I did it back in Naples. Because I had mountain ranges back there, and I was almost bi-level on the trains. At least I was in one area anyway. And that's what I did. I built the mountain ranges, except for the ones along the back wall. It was all the cardboard and plaster cloth. So I'm familiar with it. I know how to use it. I was going to do I thought about using the red rosin, but I figured, well, that's another added expense. I'd kind of like to, not get into right now, but maybe down the road I might pick up a roll, though, and use it elsewhere on the layout. But for now, I think, like I said, I've got one thing. I don't think there's enough, but there might be. I've got one roll of the plaster cloth, and I think I got a second roll somewhere. I have to go hunt it down. And 2 rolls will definitely be enough to build my mountain, because it's only going to be about maybe 12 inches high, thereabouts, maybe a little bit more. And of course the length of the tunnel system, so. And I think it'll be alright. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm going to get another. I was looking at those cameras from, what was it, Choo Choo Cameras or something like that. There's a website that sells cameras specifically for locomotives. And they're basically like an easy add-on. And I think I'm going to invest in one. Now we'll see. And that's the thing. I haven't done it, I think I did one here once or twice, but back in Naples I used to do cab rides all the time. Cab views. But I was using a different setup there that I don't have anymore. So we'll see how that goes, but well, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. It really looked good, amazing for car. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because eventually I want to go back to doing that again, with the onboard cameras, and have it so I could actually use it on a live stream. So, like I said, I'm fooling around with all kinds of different ideas and different tech. Try and modernize in here a little bit. But I've been screwing around for too long. I spent probably about the last year really not accomplishing a damn thing. So I said, it's getting time to get this thing set it up. So let me show you the bottom side of this. It's open. Like I said, you can see it's really just about wide enough for a car to get in there, I believe. Where do we have a car here? Oh. Yeah, so I mean, it's like I said, it's almost the perfect width for any train car I'm going to have. Same with this side here. So, like I said, I really took my time. I got my dimensions correct. And, everything I needed to do. Like I said, set up for lighting. I want to have a lit interior. I left the actual color gray because I figured that would be more conducive to a natural look. I mean, I haven't been in too many tunnels in my life, so I'm not sure what a train tunnel actually looks like. But from what I've seen on TV or on the internet, they're generally, like I said, they're either brick or cement or rock. And I wish I could have got a rock surface in there, but there was no way to do that. So anyway, but this will be fine just the way it is. The whole thing weighs probably about 6 or 7. Well, let's see, 2, 4, probably about 5 pounds. Because basically I've got 2.5 spools of filament here, and it's a 2.5 pounds for a spool, I believe, 1 kilogram. So figure 2 spools. 2.5 times 2, that's 5, and a partial spool, so right, just a little over 5 pounds. They said I'm printing the other portals. Now I got a cutout in this portal here and the one on this side because of the overhead rail. Yeah, it might be a little difficult. Ooh, there go rolling over. It might be kind of difficult to picture. Like I said, once I get it all set up and it's all in place, you'll get a better idea what it's going to look like. But I think it'll be alright. I hope so, anyway. Alright, let me switch mics. This one here, this one up. Alright. You should be working on this mic now. Like I said, I'm kind of still experimenting with stuff. I spent all day today trying to... These cameras going here. Trying to get everything set up properly. I think it's pretty cool. Well, thanks, Derek. I hope it will be. I'm really going to take my time on. Like I said, I'm not going to be happy with it until it's just as good as everybody else's scenery. So I'm going to take my time, and like I said, I've got just about everything I need here, I believe. The only thing I was really lacking was the LEDs. I just bought 100 of them. I had a hell of a deal on these things. I don't know if you guys watched the video or not. I did a separate video on YouTube. And actually they gave me 100 plus 3 bonus lights. I don't know why. But you know what I paid for these things? I got them on Amazon. And they were $9.99 for 100 of them. Well, I figured a deal like that, you couldn't go wrong. And he said they're already wired for 12 volt. Resistors are built into them. They're 5 millimeter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring them up through the bottom of the tunnel. And so the whole bulb part's going to be inside the tunnel. And there's enough room in there so nothing will hit it. And I can get a double stack. Oh shit! A double stack. I can't remember what the hell they're called now. But no matter what I put in there, it'll clear the lights. So it's going to work out pretty good, I hope. That'll be great when you're finished. So thanks, Rick. I hope it will. Dave says, looks great as is, Jim, for rock. Maybe glue crinkled aluminum foil paint. Yeah, I thought about that too. You know, it depending upon how, well, I might use that in conjunction with the plaster cloth, you know. Because I've used, well, I don't have any now, but I used to have the, like I can't remember the scenery company. They make, it is a foil. It's got felt on the back, but you crinkle it up, straighten it out, and you got like rock formations. Can't remember what the hell it's called now, but it's expensive though, so I don't want to buy it. But I've got tinfoil. Hell, I'll get tinfoil from the dollar store. Does the same damn thing, you know. And I've got, now I've got the cordless airbrush, which will help too. I can paint it right in place. I said I got everything I need to do what I think I want to do with it. Shaper, yeah, Shaper paper. I can't remember who the hell makes it, but I don't know. So if I don't use something all the time, I forget. But yeah, I bought a ton of that back in Naples because I did the whole wall on the back side of the room was a mountain range, and that's what I used for that. And I'll tell you what. Hey, Joe Rader, how's it going? Good to see you here. It's all right, better late than never, right? So, it cost me a fortune, though, but I had the money at the time where I really don't now. But I like this stuff. Like, all you do is crunch it up, straighten it out, and instant rock face, it was perfect. So I could do that the same in certain areas, maybe, maybe on the bottom, because I'm also going to have to build something, because there's actually a lake underneath that bridge work, or the floor. And I'm going to pour the water on that too. Once again, I have all this stuff. I've just been dicking around and not getting anything done. Yeah, Woodland Scenics, that's it. Couldn't remember that. Saved my life. So, thanks, man. So, I'm gonna have to build, where the mountain goes down below the tunnel area, and I could use the foil on that, and that would actually be perfect. And I do have rock molds. I've got some pretty big rock molds, and I've made a few rocks already. I'd have to repaint them, but I could put those on the bottom as well for like a rock face, and I don't know, maybe I can't do a waterfall, but I'd like to find some way to actually make it look like the water's coming from behind there, I'll have to think about that. But yeah, plaster from Lowe's, that works too. I had 5 gallons of the stuff that, well, the compound, for walls. I used all that up, but I still got, what do I got? I got 5 or 10 pounds of plaster of Paris. So I've got plenty of that too, So like I said, I've got a lot of stuff here that I've collected over time, and it's just been kind of sitting around waiting for me to use it, As like I said, I've got gravel, I've got coal, small HO grain coal. I got all kinds of shit. I got plenty of flocking and heavy bush material. I don't really think I need hardly anything I won't need anything for a while, And depending on how I decide to form the mountain, I do have a static applicator and a static grass, but it's not easy to use that on a mountainside, so I'm not sure if I will or not. Like I said, I'll have to put the old noggin to work here and see what actually looks best, I want it to look real, so when I take a picture of it, you say, that looks like a fucking real mountain. Same thing with them portals. Now I'm going to paint those portals and weather them, because it just needs to be done. When am I going to finish my door? Maybe next month. I was going to do it this month. I went to Home Depot, and I couldn't believe the price of the wood, because I want to get the trim strips, for around the front and back of the door. Like fucking $40 for the 3 pieces, pre-cut. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. I think that shit's gold or what? So, eventually I'll get it done. Like I said, probably next month, because I pretty much ran out of money this month. Once again, I overspent. I'm famous for doing that. Now, I did get, when I bought the new bench, it had a bottom shelf on it. And actually they updated it because it's actually got it's like a 1/4 inch, maybe 3/8, pretty thick piece of wood for the shelf. So I can cut that up, and I'm going to cut a piece for the top of the door to match the sides, save me some money. I already got it. And I'll wait for the fire sales. Yeah, right. We don't get them too much around here. Just get some 1x3s. Well, I want it to look good too, you know. So, like I said, I don't try not to do anything half-assed. Be right back after the launch. Who's launching what? Hey, all right, we'll see you in a bit, Andy. Joe Rader, you tell him. There you go. Like I said, I don't want to do it half-assed. I want it to look nice. You know. I used to do this shit for a living, man, so, you know, the prices have gone up a lot on everything. But I'll get to it. Like I said, hopefully, you know, beginning of the month. Because I won't have to spend as much money on other stuff. You know, I've got my bench. That was, what did I pay? Almost $200 for that. And, of course, I'm buying a lot of filament. I bought a 4-pack last month. I just bought a 4-pack this month. It's only $43 for four spools, which not bad. They're refills. As a matter of fact, I did a video on how to do the actual refills for anybody who didn't know. So, hey, Wig Wag Workshop, how you doing, man? Good to see you, Steven. Yeah, why do it half-ass when you could do it full-ass? Exactly. Absolutely. That's why I said, you know, I gotta stop, because I'm notorious for doing things. I hate to say half-ass, but, you know, I never really finished them properly. I mean, I do some things, and other things I don't. Well, I'm not gonna fuck around with that anymore. We're gonna do shit right. We replaced the floor in our condo, complete first level. Wow, that must have been a job. I've done that before. I can't do it now, but I've done it in the past. So, now I've done both. Tile, wood. Now, the only thing I never worked with was the decals. Believe it or not, they have. I guess it's called a decal. It's got sticky on it. But you can only use it on a flat surface. So you couldn't put it over tile, for example, because of the grout lines. But if you got a flat floor, you could use this stuff and just peel the back off, and it's like linoleum, you know. Boom, you stick it down there and you're done. That's the only stuff I never worked with. Yeah, vinyl, there you go. Two asses get you a donkey. Yeah, actually. I said if you have two half asses, then you get a full ass, you'll get a full donkey, right? Don't get me started. Wigging out, be back in 15. Okay, we'll see you in 15, man. So, like I said, that's the first of the beginning of stuff that I want to do. I'm not really going to cover anything else yet because I don't want to get ahead of myself. Hey, Darren Hamill, how you doing, man? Good to see you. I'm doing fine. I hope you are too. So, like I said, I want to get this done. I'm thinking conservatively 2 or 3 weeks. Possibly 4. It depends. You know, like I said, I've got a lot more free time. I had a doctor's appointment this morning. So did my wife. So, but it was like we got back to back, so that wasn't too bad. Normally I don't set up doctor's appointments on Thursdays because, you know, I want to have the whole day to get ready for the show. But we did it early in the morning, and that was pretty good. And I don't have to go back to see him for 3 months. And I think the next thing I get my pacemaker checked, I think, in 6 months or 5 months. So it's near the end of the year. And I got nothing before then, so that's cool. We told 2 shaved head guys in high school they could put their heads together and make an ass of themselves. Good one, John. I've never heard that before. It's funny, though. I like that. They try and kick your ass afterwards. So, I don't know, but that was pretty funny. So, I'm also going to be doing more videos as I go work on this stuff. Now, Tom Kvichak, he does it right live, you know, where I would have some issues doing that. Because, you know, it's just, I don't know, I like facing the camera, but... So I'll probably just record stuff and then play it back for you on the next live show. But I've got the camera set up over there, so it's nothing to, you know, turn it on, hit record, and it'll record both audio and video, so I can kind of talk to you while I'm working, even though I'm not really talking to you, but you know what I'm saying. James says we have a few jackasses in government. Just a few? Shit, most of our government's filled with jackasses. Consider yourself lucky. So, what was I going to say? So I don't know, I'll have trains running again. Hopefully, well, really as soon as I get the tunnels in place, the track will already be down, so trains will technically be running. So we may see trains running either next week or the week after. Assume to make an ass of you and me. Yes, that's an old one there, Jerry. And there's a lot of truth to that. So, I also got to start thinking about, you know, like I said, I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but probably as soon as I finish the tunnel, I'll start on the Helix project, because that's another big project, because I've got to build the tip out outside, build the Helix, and then tie it all in. But it needs to get done. So that may be the next one that I do. Now I am still, even in between with the tunnel going on, I'm still going to be working on the motor man for the overhead rail. Like I said, it won't be operational for a little bit because I have to take out a section of the rail. But I want to get that operational too at the same time. James says I just need to run trains. There you go. Well, like I said, you know, I hate not having them running, but you got to do it. You know, sometimes you just got to shut them down and do some building. James, you're gonna have a Helix in the works there? Cool. I didn't know you were gonna do multi-level. Well, that's a good idea, though. I said I was kind of forced to here because there's just not enough room on a lower level. Even for the train cars I got, there's barely enough room for them up top. And I got my my yard up there, and I've got, I think, five sidings up there right now. I'm going to put in a sixth one. But and they're filled with rail cars. And I still got tons of rail cars laying around all over the place. I dug a bunch of them out the other day. I found some flat cars, the coil cars. I got 3 of those. some more gondolas. I didn't find shit all over the place. I had shit stashed everywhere. Stephen Wigwag, your video from around 4 today has the comments turned off. And I asked on a previous cigarette video, do you ever do a review of the cigars that you smoke while you were smoking them? Oh, cool. I didn't know you were a cigar aficionado. I've smoked cigars before. I'm not a big cigar smoker. I never was, even when I smoked cigarettes. But I actually did get my hands on a real Cuban. A friend of mine down in Naples had connections from Canada, and he says Canada got them directly from Cuba and sent them to him. It cost a fortune, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I smoked one day, and holy shit, these things they really are good, you know. A real Cuban, it's a hell of a cigar. Something is going on with YouTube and comments. Well, you got to be set for not for kids. If it's for kids, there's no comments. So when you upload, you got to make sure it's set not for children. And that's usually what causes the comments not to work. Cigars are train loads on my lap. There you go. I was going to comments, Stephen, but no cigar. I'm not going there. It's pretty funny, though. I don't know, that's weird, man. Yeah, I double checked that because I have a feeling it's not finalizing that way. I mean, everything I put out, you know, everything on my site is not for kids, and I never have any issues with comments. So, yeah, I was like I said, I was thinking about maybe even doing something live tonight, you know, on the tunnels. I thought, well, that'd probably be a real nuisance. I don't know. So I think I'm going to hold off on that and just do it on camera as a recording and then show you the video after the fact. And, you know, it's not like I'm intimidated by it or anything. Just, I don't know, it just seems easier to do something when I'm not interrupted by anything else, you know. So I don't know. I'll have to work on that. But anyway, so that's the big reveal. That's my big plan. The news. Have a cigar, Pink Floyd. There you go. That's my plan for the immediate next couple of weeks. And like I said, I'll video every aspect of it, so you'll be in on it. So for unusual for me, but you'll get a chance to see how I work and what I'm actually doing as I go through each step. Not as a how-to or anything, but just you know, like I said, you can kind of work on it with me in a way, right? So I think that'll work out pretty cool. Oh, Thomas, you wanted to see this handle thing? So I didn't glue this in because I don't know the proper spacing. But there it is. It came out perfect, man. It really did. So as soon as I get your package, I'll get this shipped out. So great tune. Which one? Like I said, YouTube did some updates, and by default, it's turning off comments. Talk with dozens of creators and all. Oh, really? Okay. Like I said, I haven't had that problem myself, and I just turned out a couple of videos. I did one yesterday. I did two yesterday. Yesterday or the day before, I don't remember which, but they came out fine. So, I don't know. I mean, we all know YouTube sucks anyway. But, you know, there's a problem. You got to find a way around it because, you know, it sucks when you can't get comments, man. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Colonel Cottonbelt. Listening while doing some stuff on a loud. There you go. That's what I was doing last night when I was watching Tom Kravitchak, Thomas Trains and Things. I was out here in the shed at the big screen on, and kind of half-assed watching and listening while I was working on stuff. So. Joe says he did 2 today with no problems. Steven said they're back on now. Okay. Yeah, like I said, you know, with YouTube, you don't know. I've been lucky so far. I've never really had any real problems. But, you know. I'm still getting fluctuations on the live stream. I don't know what the hell's going on with it. Got 32% drop frames. CPU's only run at 8.6%, so no load there. 30 frames per second. I don't know. You know, before I started broadcasting, they give you your latency settings, and I instead of last week I had normal, and I was having issues. So I said, let me try a lower latency frequency. Didn't seem to make a difference, so I'll probably go back to normal. The only difference I'm seeing is that I've got a 10-second delay now, where under normal I had a 2-second delay. So I don't know. Ray says COPPA has nothing to do with children's safety. It's really about further marginalization of the disabled individuals. And families of disabled children, to be more specific. I don't see how that would make a difference, but the whole thing was stupid anyway. You know, look, as a parent, you should have control of your children. You know, if they're under 15 or whatever, you know, you should be regulating what they can do and see and talk about on the internet. It's not up to the internet to be the parent, and that's what this cop is basically. You know, does mentally disabled count? I don't get it. I don't either, so don't feel bad. What I'm saying, it's just, you know, YouTube, for whatever reason, they're taking the role of the parent, you know, to babysit the kids. Well, you know, look, I don't have any young children anymore, but mine are all grown. And the internet really wasn't an issue when they were growing up. We had the internet. Well, we really didn't, but it was still in its infancy. But, you know, my kids, look, if I didn't want them to watch a certain thing on TV, they didn't watch it. You know. And the internet would have been no different. First off, I wouldn't set a 7 or 8-year-old in front of a computer and let them do what they want. And any parent who does that, well, you got bigger issues. Don't even get me started on that soapbox. Now, but you know what I'm saying, Jason. Am I right or not? You know. Derek says YouTube can do whatever they want, and the kids are on porn. Exactly. You know. As I'm saying, well, you know, now they're talking. I don't know if they're going to do it here. I think they're trying to do it over in England. I heard that they might do it here too, where you're going to need to prove ID or show ID somehow before you can get on the internet, period. And they're saying, you know, we got to protect the kids. No, we don't. The parents should be protecting their kids. If they don't care enough about what their kids are doing, then they should have to, suffer the consequences. Why do I got to show ID? I'm 66 fucking years old. I ain't showing ID for shit. you know. Years ago when I was still smoking, how old was I? I was in my 50s. I had gray hair and the whole 9 yards, right? I go to buy a pack of cigarettes at a Walgreens. Can I see some ID, sir? I looked at it, seriously? Do I look like I'm under 21? I still have to ask for ID. I said, you know what? Go fuck yourself. I'll go someplace that's got a brain. And I did. I didn't buy the cigarettes there. I went to another store. No problem. And that's what they want to do with the internet. I'm not even going there, man. Parents are absolutely, Tom. They are the problem. So, YouTube has these porn stars trying on fishnet clothing where you can see what underneath, but they are calling it. Yeah, I saw that. I was thinking, holy shit, man. You can see nipplage now, And even some of the clothing, I mean, you might as well not have nothing on, And they don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but, But I wouldn't be letting my kids watch that shit, My stepdaughter, she has twins, boy and a girl. They're what they call maternal twins, something like that. But I think when they were 8 years old, the boy, what the hell was his name? Tell me, my mind's going, man. Anyway, her son wanted to watch a certain thing on the internet, a certain cartoon. And I says, you really shouldn't let him watch that because he's already displaying anger issues, and watching that kind of shit on TV is not going to help it any. So she thought about it. She forbid him from watching it, So he'd come over with us, the grandparents, and he'd turn it right on. No, you can't watch that. Your mom already told you you're banned for watching that. Oh, man, that sucks. Well, wife's a bitch, You don't need to be seeing that shit, 24/7. And that's the way it should be done, Jason says, I only know about this because we caught some kids at work watching it. Yeah, well, I've seen it too. I've seen shorts. Might as well have been a porn shot, man. The only thing missing was, a little in and out, but, naked bodies are still there. Near naked. Derek says, Big Jim, you look like Sean Connery tonight with your hair and bareness length. My hair's a mess. I washed it last night, and I slipped on it wrong, and I have to re-wet it and do it again. But I need to trim my beard. It's getting out of control. Oh, well, Sean Connery, I could take that as a compliment. I don't think I look like him, but, I don't sound like him. Who are you? Bond, James Bond. Andy said, I think I'll stick to train porn. There you go. There's such a thing. James says, well, Andy, if you think about it, going in and out of each track in the yard is in and out and in and out. Yeah, I guess it could be, if your mind's in a really dirty frame of mind, right? Andy, train going into a tunnel. Fellini train porn. There you go. There's a gaggle of girls on YouTube with OnlyFans links. Yeah, I've seen that too. I don't do the OnlyFans thing, but I see the you can see more of me on OnlyFans. Like I don't even want to. Big boy spreads them wide. There you go. Yeah, we're getting deep into depravity, right? Here comes the big boy. I'm not going to go there because I could come up with some pretty fucking off the wall shit, but we're not going to go there. Oh, did you see that one? I think Thomas sent me the short or video, but my wife already seen it somewhere else. The big boy was coming through and some idiot was standing right on the tracks. The train was probably maybe 100 yards away, 200 yards. And the fucking engineer, Ed, I guess the name, he's blowing the fucking horn, and finally the guy steps off the track. So the engineer actually stops the train, calls the guy over, and rips him a new one, you know? It's like, shit, man, why not, right? The big boy's a BB. Could be. So, yeah, I thought it was funny, though. You know, like I said, I can't believe how dumb people are, you know? I mean, the problem is, it's probably unlikely, but what if your foot got stuck in the ties or something, you know? Or you tripped, or you even passed out? Anything could happen. The train can't stop, you know? By the time it comes to a stop, you're already toast. So why would you do something that stupid? And yet, there they are, you know. Yeah, Ed Dickens, there you go. He does deserve a medal, man. He's lucky. I mean, if that would have been me, I could have climbed off that fucking train and kicked that motherfucker a new ass, you know. Just because he's stupid. I don't understand what the hell the problem is with some people. They just don't think, you know. And you really can't fix stupid, apparently. Well, you can, but it's not legal. And that's part of the problem in today's society. Used to be back in the day, a long, long, long time ago, they killed stupid. Or stupid would just kill itself somehow, you know. And that kept the bloodlines clean, and, you know. And now all of a sudden we started saving all the stupid from themselves, and we're building a nation of morons. I tell you, they're everywhere, man. Can you imagine the stress he's been under for the last 2 months? Oh, the engineer, yeah, probably. Like somebody pointed out, they said, you know, if there's an accident and somebody gets hurt or killed on the track, even though I think it's wrong, they could shut down the train permanently over it, you know. It's like, well, why would you blame the train for the acts of a stupid motherfucker, you know? 500 tons will soon squash stupid. Yes, it will. My sister went cod fishing in the Atlantic Ocean. Cool. I like cod, actually. I was buying cod from Omaha Steaks for a while, but they raised the price again, and I said, nah, I can't afford it, but it's good, though, to eat, you know. And they already pre-bred it and everything else, so. And it's boneless, so it's like, yeah, way to go. And I like fish, but like I said, I just really can't afford to buy it, you know. And I don't do fishing anymore. I did a long time ago, but yeah, I was never really that great at it. I did catch a bass once, a big mouth bass, but I cheated. Actually broke the law. Used a goldfish to bait it, you know. Big no-no. But I've been trying for weeks to catch one in these canals, you know. Fuck, I couldn't get one hit, so I said, fuck this. So I read somewhere that a goldfish is a sure way to catch a big mouth bass, so I did. And I did. I caught that fucker in 10 minutes, man. Get your gutting knife ready, James. There you go. Oh. Now it's a good fish, too, man. I like you said, I've always been a big fish eater back in the day when it was inexpensive. But now it's just so expensive you can't afford it. It's actually almost more expensive than meat, you know. My doctor, read me the riot act this morning because, he says, your A1C is still too high. Yeah, well, I'm diabetic, you know. That's no excuse. Yeah, that's the only excuse I got, you know. So, he says, well, what do you eat all day long? I said, well, I don't eat anything for breakfast. I just have, meat for lunch and meat for dinner, you know. Basically on a carnivore diet. Well, how come you don't eat breakfast? I said, I don't know. Too expensive to buy, sausages or bacon, and one doctor will tell me it's no good for me. Another one tells me to eat it. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't know what they're talking about. So I just don't eat it, you know. That's why your A1C is high. I said, well, what do you want me to do? He said, well, start eating breakfast. But you can't eat carbs. You got to eat, you know, protein. I said, well, duh. You know. So I don't know. My wife says, you should start eating breakfast. I said, yeah, I probably should, but, you know. And I'm not a big eater, you know. I mean, and you wouldn't know it by looking at me, but I really don't eat that much. So the doctor says, well, you're telling your body you're starving, and it's storing up all the fat that it can find. I said, well, after a while, won't it start actually eating that fat? You know, digesting it? No, that's not true. I said, that's not what I heard. Yeah, I don't know. Beans for breakfast. Nah, I don't even do beans, man. I'm a real picky eater. There's a lot of shit I don't eat, you know. He said, well, you should probably eat some vegetables. I said, look, I can't eat the only vegetable I can really eat is carrots. Anything else, I can't keep it down. It comes right back up. Yeah. The birth defect, man. Parents told me that they tried to feed me vegetables when I was a baby and I couldn't keep them down. Nothing's changed, you know. I said, but I do take a greens drink every morning, which has like fucking 45 vegetables in it, you know. And it's got strawberry taste to it, so you can't taste anything. And I have a glass of that every morning, you know. So as far as I'm concerned, I am eating breakfast. I'm a coffee for breakfast guy. They say I don't drink coffee either, but that's cool though. Tom says I eat 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Better to eat more often than you eat less. That's true. Keep you going all day. So, I don't know, like I said, and you know, I was doing it for a while. You know, I was eating, you know, he said I would get either bacon or sausage. I got plenty of eggs, but the problem with eggs is I get tired of eating them after a while. You know, it's almost where I just can't stand the taste of them. You know, I can eat them for like 3 months at a time, and then I gotta walk away for about a year before I can eat them again. You know, gotta get some firepower going there. There you go. So, I don't know. Like I said, you know, these fucking doctors are all full of shit anyway. You know, you turn on the internet, these so-called internet doctors, they'll tell you one thing. Then you go to your real doctor, he'll tell you something completely different. You go to another doctor, he'll tell you something completely different from the first two, what they told you. And they all can't be telling the truth. Somebody's full of shit, you know. Colonel Cottonbill's Ivan, yeah, well, so do I, Jason. I think we got like 14 chickens in the back, you know. 1 egg a day from each chicken, from each hen. She's got probably got 100 eggs in the fridge, you know. Gas for the ass, there you go. So like I said, you know, I can only really eat eggs scrambled anyway. I can't eat them any other way. And like I said, they're good for you. I don't, you know, when I start eating them, I enjoy them for a while, but then like I said, after a while, I don't want to eat them anymore. And it's figured too, you know, you should listen to your body when you're eating. If your body tells you you're done with something, then you're done, you know. Exactly, like James said, you can't eat eggs anymore. Of course, there's a lot of reasons why you can't eat them, if you have cholesterol issues or some other issue, I guess. James says, I really like deviled eggs and egg salad. See, I can't eat either one. The only way I can eat an egg is scrambled. That's it, man. John says, we're getting at least half a dozen a day at the farm. I brought 3 dozen back recently. There you go. Like I said, each hen will lay 1 egg a day. At least mine do anyway. And I think we got 14 of them back there, I think. Not even sure. My wife keeps buying the damn thing. He's like, yeah. I said, we don't want more than three hens, that's it. No roosters, 3 hens, that's it. Now we got 2 fucking roosters. Then we got 14 hens. What the fuck, man? When traveling, always take a boiled egg and make a day of it. There you go. A friend of mine claims he don't eat nothing that comes out of a chicken's butt. Well, it's not actually a chicken's butt. It's a vent, man. It's like, it's not, but you can sort of call it a chicken's pussy, you know. But they call it a vent, I guess, for whatever reason. Jesus, I've got too many hens wanting to go broody. There, yeah, that's another issue. We had one like that. I think I gave that one away. She would not release the. I mean, she had like fucking 20 eggs under her, man. They weren't hers, but she decided to take them all, and you know, and they hatched. I mean, we had chicks out of them. Dave says, good dental care is only for millionaires now. Don't even get me started on conglomerate medical groups. Yeah, tell me about it. I got no teeth. I got a couple left, but that's it. Of course, I'm waiting for them. Yeah, they can actually regrow your real teeth now. It's not on the market quite yet, at least not here. But depending upon what it costs, I would probably go that route because, once again, I can't wear dentures. Got a bad gag reflex, man. I can't put nothing in my fucking mouth. So, Tom says, I only ate an egg once when I was a kid. Did not like it at all. Never ate one again. There you go. Well, he said some people just don't like them, you know. Derek says, overlight, omelet, scrambled, egg salad, hard boiled. I like eggs a lot of ways. Yeah, I guess you do. I don't know why I can't eat them. Like I said, it's weird. Because, I tried eating like a sunny side up one once and couldn't hold that fucker down. But I can eat it scrambled. Go figure, right? Me too, Derek. Over easy with toast is my favorite. There you go. He says 5 roosters, 16 hens, and 12 chicks. I have no clue what are roos and pullets yet. Don't ask me. I don't fucking have a clue either. If it lays an egg, it's a hen. If it crows, it's a rooster. That's about as much as I know about them. Joe says over easy or scrambled. Derek says 4 over light and sausage almost every morning. Yeah, I love sausage, man. And bacon. John says we have 9 hens and a rooster. Cool. That's what I'm saying, and you want to hang on to them because the way things are going out there, man. I was reading an article yesterday on YouTube, or actually listening to it, but they were saying that somebody made a prediction back in 1960 that in November of 2026, that's probably bullshit, but just repeating what I heard. In November of 2026, there's going to be a mass famine that'll wipe out half the fucking population of the world. I wouldn't be surprised. Thomas says maybe you have a trans chicken. If it flops over, the hen is dead. That's true. 4 eggs a day for lunch is just about right for me, sometimes with sardines. I can't do sardines either, man. Not the only fish I can't eat. That reminds me, I made a rooster crowing soundbite for Thomas G. I need to post that. Yeah, there you go. Cost of eggs always goes up in the winter, and news will blame it on... Yeah, exactly. Spam, egg, and cheese on toast sandwich. There you go. Utter bollocks. Yeah, that's true. Well, that's like what's going on now with this that fucking diarrhea disease that they got. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's all over the place. They've had 100 cases here in Florida, 100 in Ohio, 300, I think, in Michigan. And they're saying it's from the vegetables and some of the fruits. You eat this stuff and you get this cyclospora. That's what it is. Cyclospora, and it makes you fucking, what do they call it? Projectile shitting or diarrhea. Or no, explosive diarrhea. That's it. I'm thinking, well, you don't want that. And it lasts for like a couple of weeks. That ain't good. And I'm trying to figure out, well, how did this happen? You know. And I don't believe this shit happens by accident or through nature. I think they're fucking with shit, you know. You guys heard about the, what's it called? Shit. The ultragal or ultragal. That's a disease that these ticks carry now. And if you get bit by a tick that carries this gall disease, you become allergic to red meat. And you can actually die. You go into anaphylactic shock. And you know, motherfucking well, somebody injected those ticks with whatever they're pushing out there. The ticks have been around forever, and all of a sudden this new alpha-gal disease is brand new, and it makes people allergic to red meat. Come on, seriously? Especially when, you got Bill Gates out there trying to push his fucking lab-grown meat. Yeah. Alpha-gal. Yeah, my wife has. Ooh, that sucks. It's just not red meat. It's all, any mammal, actually. She has it. Oh, that sucks. That's the Bill Gates tick. I think it is, And he should be executed for it. Well, they already admitted that Lyme disease was actually put in the ticks by the CIA back in the 70s. I had a friend who just died from that. Well, it wasn't really a friend, but an acquaintance. And he was having problems. He was having leg issues from it for years. And he just recently died, and he said it had something to do with it. I mean, the fuck, man. So it's the same thing with this, this fucking cyclospora shit. I'm sure it wasn't, it's probably a disease that's been around. We probably all got it in some form or another at one point. But now all of a sudden everybody's getting it. And it's from vegetables and strawberries and blueberries. And come on, really? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's bullshit. Jim, where can I get some? Jim was over 5,000 in Michigan and New Jersey. Oh, no shit. 2,000. Wow. That's a lot. Well, they tried to blame it on Taco Bell for a minute. Because that was one of the things that... Of course, mostly women are getting this because women eat a lot of salads and shit. All right, John, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. We'll see you next week. Be careful, have fun, and, we'll see you later, man. Cyclospora only comes from the shit of people who are infected. I was not aware of that. It must be explosive, Derek. Yeah, well, it is. Animals shitting on our food. That could be, or people. Maybe that's how the immigrants, the illegals, are getting even with us. And they know this shit anywhere, We had them at the golf course, they'd shit along the fence line. Seriously. Couldn't make it back to the fucking bathrooms, they'd just go ahead and take a shit right out there. It's disgusting, And a lot of them had diarrhea too, so. And it's like, you can't do anything with that, Like, just stay away from that area, So, I don't know, like I said, there's some shit going on. It's ridiculous, I think there's so many things happening right now that's designed to kill people. And I think it's all man-made. Every bit of it, including climate change, Like I said, all this weird weather we're getting, these heat domes and shit. I don't believe that's natural. I think that's from them fucking with the weather. Unintended consequence. Let's try and build a few hurricanes and wipe out some counties and, a bunch of people. And on the backside of it, we get a heat dome. I don't know. E. coli, yeah, that's true. E. coli, well, E. coli I know is a shit disease. Whole lot of shit going on, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, you know, because my wife says, well, how does E. coli? He says, well, it's mostly from illegals wiping their asses with their hands and then handling your food, you know, because they don't wash, you know, and they really do wipe their asses in most cases with their hands, you know, wipe it off on the grass, go back to work, you know, they'll eat their food. I mean, it happens. I've seen it, you know. And it's ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. I don't understand why we allow people to come into this country that don't adapt to our cultural ways, you know. Anyone near San Antonio, I hear they're getting lots of rain. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. We've been getting a little more here than usual, too. I mean, we had a drought for a while, then it started raining, and now we're getting a lot of rain. Of course, they're blaming it on El Nino, you know. If I hear one more fucking ad about El Nino being, you know, the forebearer of the end of the world, I think I'm going to have to pop somebody, you know. I mean, they would just stop fucking with shit. It would probably all go back to normal, you know. Haven't seen rain in 3 weeks. That sucks. Well, aren't you guys having a heat dome over there too in England? I think most of Europe is, actually. The most cases are where we are where we have the most Somalis. Well, that makes sense. Once again, you know. I'm telling you, people just, you know, I don't care what you do, where you live, you know. You want to live in a fucking mud hut, wipe your ass with your hands, spear chuck everything that moves. I'm okay with that. I don't care. But keep it over there. You can't bring it here, you know. and that's what I'm saying, you know. I've told the story before, but I'll tell it again just for shits and giggles, right? Literally. Well, not so much giggles, but lots of shit. A lot of the Mexicans come here, legal or not. They don't wipe when they wipe their ass with toilet paper, they don't flush it. They put it in a trash can. The reason they do that is because in Mexico, their sewage system will not handle anything but shit. No paper, no nothing. You can't flush any of that. Fucks the whole system up. So they put all their used ass wipes in the garbage can. Well, that's fine down there. My boss, when I worked at the golf course, you know, he'd walk in the bathroom, man, and he's like, holy Christ, I gotta get out of here. It stunk so bad, you know. Guys are in there shitting constantly, wiping their ass with the paper and then put it in the trash can. It stunk so bad it flies all over the place. Well, the boss called me now. He says, you know, I can't ban them from using the bathroom, but we got to do something. I says, well, you're going to have to teach them the American way. So he did. He brought them all in the break room, and it was kind of funny, you know. They all understood and spoke some English. And he said, look, he says, you know, when you use the toilet and you wipe your ass, you put the paper in the toilet, you flush all of it. Don't put it in the can, because it's disgusting. It's not hygienic. It brings about disease, attracts flies, and none of us can stand the smell. And it didn't really work the first time. They brought him back in again. He said, look, if you don't follow the rules, I will fire you. When they heard that, then they started flushing the paper. And I had another friend that, you know, spoke good English, and I asked him, this was before that, I said, you know, what's the deal with that? He says, well, he explained the sewage problem. I said, okay. And why don't we educate them when they come over here? You know? I mean, a lot of them are illegals anyway, but some of the legal ones, they do it too. You know? Oh, print's done. We are getting lots of smoke from Canada. The sky has been pure white for the last 2 days. So far, getting air quality alerts all day long. That sucks. James says, Tom Grassi knows smoke from Utah fires. And he says, I don't speak English. Now, you'd be surprised that I speak it. There's another one funny one I did, too. When I used to deliver electrical supplies at job sites, you know. I went to this one area there, and I don't know what they were. They weren't Mexicans. I think they were Haitians. And, you know, no English. No English. Because he's trying to tell me, so I want you to dig a trench over here for the footer of the building, right? You know, no comprende. So he goes back in. I'm watching him stand, watch the whole thing. He goes back in the construction trailer, comes out with a section of 2x4, about 2 foot long. Walks up to the first one, smack, not real hard, but hard enough to hurt. Smacks him in the back of the head with a 2x4. You fucking comprende now? Yes, sir. I know exactly what you want. All of a sudden, this fucker spoke perfect English. So he pulled me aside. He said, "You didn't see that." I said, "I did, but I don't care because, you know, first off, you taught me something I suspected forever anyway, you know." I said, "But don't get caught doing that because you go to jail, you know. That's assault and battery, man." But I said, "But I understand your point." He said, "Man, I'm just sick of these fuckers. They understand lunch. They understand go home. They understand payday. They understand all the things they want to understand, but when you try and give them instruction, no comprende." No, it's like he says, I just had it up to here. I couldn't help myself. I lost it. So, dude, your secret's safe with me, you know. I'll tell you what, it's funny as shit, though. Did I miss anything over here? Yes, Thomas, I made it heavy. Yeah, Thomas, I made it heavy on Long Island, too. Chuck says, I'm north of San Antonio. John in Texas Hill Country, 9 inches since Monday. West of me place said 20 plus. Wow, that's a lot of rain. Jay says, lots of people on septic tanks would trash poo paper, then flush it. I know, like I said, I flush it, man. It's a matter of hygiene, you know. Why in the hell would you want to put that in a trash can in a small room? It doesn't hurt your septic tank, you know. Almost all toilet paper now is biodegradable. And you're supposed to treat your tank anyway. And I'm guilty of not doing it. I got to start. They got that shit you can buy in the store, hardware stores. Can't remember what it's called now, but you dump it down the toilet, and it's some sort of a virus or something or whatever, and it helps eat the shit. You know. Be safe, Chuck. Okay. No worries. We have brown curtains. There you go. We have a high-level smoke ceiling here in Alexandria. Wow, that sucks. Still 100 degrees. Yeah, it was 100 degrees yesterday and the day before. Today, I think I looked. It was only 99 on my thermometer, so maybe it's cooling off a little bit, right? Chuck says, we've been fortunate, small amount of ponding at times, lost power twice, but for a brief time. Yeah, Ridex, that's it. Couldn't remember what the hell it was called. Because back in Naples, back before they put the sewers in, we had a septic tank. And my dad used to throw that shit in like every 6 months. Never had to empty it, you know, so. And a family of 4. Him, my mother, and my brother, and you know, my sister, and me. My brother wasn't born yet, so. You know, he said never had problems with it, so. I had a new drain field put in when I bought the house here. Cost me $4,000 fucking dollars. They did a good job though. But I was supposed to get a free. They were supposed to empty the tank for free for one time. They never did it. And when I called them, I said, "No, we don't do that." I said, "Well, why'd you tell me that, Dad? You fuckers, you know." They're mad because I wouldn't buy a new tank. I said, "Why would I buy a new tank when there's nothing wrong with the old one, you know?" Chuck says, we've been fortunate, small pet. Oh, okay, I already read that. Canada and Commie Formula stopped doing forestry years ago due to climate bullshit, so once a fire starts. Yeah, I know, you're supposed to, like, clean the forest or something. There's a technique to prevent fires or minimize them. Tom says, 95 for a high today, no sun. Not 84 at 7:30 p.m. Yeah, when I woke up this morning, it was about 84, 85. And I'm thinking, damn, that's pretty hot for the first thing in the morning. I think I woke up at around 6:30. And endangered rodents, Derek. There you go. A little warmer here today, 78 now. It's 86 right now here, according to the computer thermometer. But all right, Andy, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Have fun, and we'll see you next week. James says 82.4 here at the moment. That's not too terrible. Like I said, it's everything's all fucked up, you know. Hey, here they want to get rid of the time change, which I've been arguing about that forever. You know, it's just so stupid to change the clock twice a year. So there's a bill that Congress just passed for permanent daylight savings. Right? People are bitching. It'll be dark in the morning. I won't be able to do my morning jog anymore. Then jog a little fucking later. Or bring a flashlight, you know? Shut the fuck up already. Everybody bitches about everything, you know? They do controlled burns in forests to help control. Yeah, that's true. They do that here still, on occasion. And it works, you know, for the most part. I mean, me, I don't like getting up early anyway. Although a lot of times I do. If I woke up at 9 o'clock every morning, I'd be happy. That wouldn't bother me any. I go to bed at midnight, you know. I'd rather have more daylight in the evening than the first thing in the morning. But even if they decide to go with regular time, you know, not daylight savings, but regular time, people will be bitching about that. There's going to be a certain sector of people going to bitch no matter what you do. So fuck them. Just pick one, make it a law, and stop this stupid changing the clocks every time you turn around, you know. And of course, you know, one parent said, well, I don't want my kids going to school in the dark. Well, then get your school to change their fucking hours. When I was in elementary school up north, our school started at 9:30 in the morning. You know. Now, I walked to school because it was only about a mile from the house, so you have to be 2 miles or more to catch the bus. Now, down here, they start in classes sometimes 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning. And if you're on a bus stop, sometimes you're out there at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's fucking dark out, you know, waiting to catch the bus. If they would just move the time up to 9:30, they would solve this problem. The only ones that, like up north, the seniors, well, high schoolers, they went to school a little bit earlier than everybody else. That's fine, you know. But if you're worried about the small kids, start school later. Thomas, not anymore in liberal areas. That's true. Well, that's because the liberals are stupid. I think in Nevada or Arizona, they never changed the clock. Yeah, it's Arizona, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of the two. I can't remember which one. Well, it's not where my sister lives in Indiana. I don't know how they get away with it. It's a small area. She lives in Warsaw. And they don't change clocks there either. Because sometimes when I call her, she's, you know, either a half an hour ahead or the same time as me. And she told me, she said, no, we don't change clocks here. I said, okay, that's cool. You know. The whole idea is stupid. First off, there's 24 hours in a day. You're not saving nothing by going to daylight savings time. You know. You're just moving it. There's that one, what is it? A wise Indian once said, a white man is so stupid, he thinks if he cuts a foot off the blanket up by his head and adds it to the bottom by his feet, his blanket will be longer. It's still the same length, he just moved it around. That's what they're doing with the time, you know. We had 8:30 to 3 o'clock school in Western Maryland. As I said, we had 9:30, and I think it was 9:30 to 4. And, and it worked out well. My mother was stay at home anyway. But, if she'd have worked, I guess it might have been an issue. But back then, my mom always stayed home pretty much. Remember, this is back in the 60s. Congress just passed the permanent daylight savings time in law. Yeah, the Senate has to pass it next, and then Trump has to sign it. They say Trump will sign it. Whether the Senate will pass it or not's anybody's guess, I guess as long as they don't tell them it's Trump's idea, they'll probably pass it, because they're all fucking assholes too. But, of course, they're dropping like flies up there too now, But I'm pretty sure McConnell's dead. I don't care what they say, And you're not going to be in a hospital bed with your street clothes on, no wires hooked up to your tubes, read the newspaper. Not likely. So the picture they sent was AI, obviously. He was dead when they pulled him out of the house, He was unresponsive. They don't know how long he was out. And if you're dead for half an hour, there ain't no bringing your ass back, So at least you won't be right again. And Montana already passed law daylight savings all the time. Oh, at least they got a brain up there. Thomas's grade school was 8 to 3. High school was the same time. Yeah, see, well, I was from Jersey too. Like I said, when I was a kid, elementary school up there was 9:30 to 4. I mean, maybe not everybody was the same. I don't know. That was in Carteret, but John says Congress passed the SAVE Act too. Now it's up to the Senate, and they need to pass that. I mean, it's just there's so much stupid shit going on in this country. It's ridiculous. Okay, cooled off enough to take Doggy for a walk. There you go. All right, Joe, have fun on your walk, man. Be careful. Anyways, we're supposed to be a sovereign country. And if we say we don't want you here, then that should be the end of it. If we say there's no birthright citizenship, then there shouldn't be. Anybody who disagrees with, the president should probably be charged with treason and executed. And the thing is, I read the same amendments that they do. And the 14th Amendment was designed to make citizens of the freed slaves and their children. That's what it was what it was put in there for. Because the blacks, the ex-slaves, were not considered citizens of the United States. They were still considered property. So the 14th Amendment granted them automatic citizenship along with their children. Nowhere in there does it say that illegals could come here and become citizens just because, mom had to drop her baby here. And they say now that the Chinese and some other countries are actually deliberately bringing pregnant women over here to drop their kids on American soil so they can become citizens and then, fuck us over later on. Why do we allow this shit? And there's laws on the books that could stop that from happening. And for whatever reason, Congress and the Senate does nothing. Trump's trying to get it done. But everything he does, they fight him on. It's bullshit. Elementary school here is 7:30 to 3:10 p.m. Growing up on the East Coast, high school started early. It's the same down here now. They're ridiculous hours. They're starting school, I said my stepdaughter, back when she was still in school down in Naples, her mom would bring her to the bus stop. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was fucking dark out, And I'm thinking they got no sidewalks where they were picked up, so they had to stand on the side of the road. Fortunately nobody got run over, but it could have happened. It's like, why do they have school this early? Who does it fucking benefit, Fucking ignorant shit, man. Elementary school. That's what I'm saying, if there's a problem with something, then fix it. You don't fix a problem by creating another problem. And that's what they did with daylight savings, or with the time change in general. We'll fix all the problems by changing the clock back and forth. No, you create more problems that way. Even from a health aspect, they say it's bad for your health to keep changing the clock back and forth. Throws off your circadian rhythm. Maybe it does. I don't know. James says, my wife's stepbrother moved to Utah. Will take him over 2 years to become an American citizen. He married a USA gal. I'd say to you, my daughter, she married a Mexican. And he had to wait, I think it was almost 2 years before he could apply for his naturalization, I guess they call it. And he was illegal when he came here, and I guess somehow or another he got a green card. Or maybe it's because he got married there. I don't know. Like I said, I got no problem with, European people of European descent. And, most Canadians are from Europe. France or England or that area. So, as far as I'm concerned, all Canadians are European descent too. I don't care if Europeans come into America because they adapt. They assimilate. The problem is with these third worlders and Mexicans, they're not really third world, but they're still a problem. They don't assimilate. I think we should have a basic rule. If you can't speak English and understand English, the minute you walk over the fence, you can't stay here. We're not gonna, translate for you. Fuck that. Learn the fucking language or get the fuck out. That's simple. Tom says a lot of schools change times because of the work schedule of the parents, so they could drop off or pick them up. Yeah, I know that happened too, but once again, that's because they fucked up the system anyway and requiring both parents to work. Back when mom stayed home and dad went to work, they didn't have these issues. So instead, they fuck up the economy enough to where mom and dad both have to work now, and the kids suffered for it, So I'm saying, they fix one thing and fuck up two others. Mark at M&M Rails is live at 8. Okay, thanks for that info, James. Oh, I figured as much. That's cool. Derek says they just arrested a Canadian illegal immigrant who overstayed her visa because she smacked a juvenile because she was... Oh, yeah, I read about that. Well, serves her right because, she obviously has TDS, and anybody with TDS should be booted from the country, too. I don't care where you're from, And that was completely uncalled for, Why the hell would you smack somebody for wearing an article of clothing that you don't agree with, It's all bullshit. Tom says, Jim, come on now. Third world countries are now called developing countries. I call bullshit. Yeah, me too. They ain't developing nothing. Some of them are still living in mud huts. But they want to come here and get the free money and the free food and everything else. Fuck that bullshit. James says, Jim, I found out there's gun turrets in Newfoundland that were installed by the USA military. World War II. Yeah, I don't doubt that. We throw our shit all over the place. In California. If it wasn't, it is now. See where fucking Newsom's in trouble. I guess they're doing a sting operation on him or something. He's in a world of shit. Him and his wife. I hope they fucking hang them both, actually, to be honest with you. That dumb fuck wanted to run for President of the United States. Could you imagine? He would do to this whole country what he did to California. No, thank you. Tom says, Jason's California is third world. Yeah, I said it is now, you know. And they're not doing anything to help anybody, you know. I guess he wanted to, or maybe he did, institute the billionaires tax. All billionaires picked up and left. What the hell do you think was going to happen? You know, nobody's going to sit there and let them take your money. So they said, well, we need a national billionaires tax so that they can't run anywhere. They'll just leave the country. Unless you literally lock them up, you can't control their movements. And if you try and, you know, strip them of their wealth, they're going to pick up their toys and leave. I would. Yes, Jason, hello, but they think they are the leader of the country. Yeah, they're the leader, all right. Leader of the third world. That's what I'm saying. It's all bullshit, you know. John says, I wanted to visit San Diego, not anymore. I wanted to check out California many years ago, before it really got bad. And with all this shit going on in town, I'd probably get arrested over there, be stuck there for the rest of my life. And I know enough to stay out of a place that isn't good for me. And I really won't go any place where I can't bring my gun with me anyway. You know, because I don't trust anybody, man. Even not even here, I don't, you know. And we don't really have any big problems here, but, you know, you never know. Somebody decides to go off. So you want to be prepared, you know. And like I said, you know, somebody comes at me with a machete, I'm not going to, I won't even fucking warn them. I'll just shoot them. You know, boom, you're dead. Problem solved. You know, or a knife or anything like that. I mean, if they have a gun, hopefully I'm a better shot and faster than they are, you know. Now you know I won't leave Arizona. No, I don't blame you. That's what I'm saying. You know, I mean, I know all this shit's done on purpose. At least I think it is anyway. It seems to be. You know, because there has to be a plan somewhere. When the authorities literally encourage lawlessness and perversion and everything else that's going on, you got to figure there's a reason why. Oh, Arkansas, sorry. That's right, Arizona's AZ. My mistake. I hear Arkansas is actually pretty nice. I've never been there. But some people recommended it for retirement. And the only reason I would go, because like I said, the winters, I really don't want to deal with the cold. But Florida's not bad. But it depends, because now we got a governor's race coming up. I don't know how many of you guys know about it. But we got 3 contestants that have a shot at it. We have the black guy, Byron Donalds. I don't want him. I don't trust him. He's not even from Florida. He's from New York, so that seems like a big no right there. But he's a front runner. He's already gotten $100 million in donations to become governor here. That scares the shit out of me. And you got James Fishback. I kind of like him, but, you know, I'm nervous. He says and does all the right things, but can't always trust that. But right now, he looks like the best candidate, and I may vote for him. And you've got Jay Collins, who's the lieutenant governor. But he fucked up because him and Paul Renner, the other candidate, which he's nobody, they had a 3-way debate. And one of the questions was, you know, how do you feel about data centers? The only one that said, no, we're not going to allow it in Florida was James Fishback. The other 2 says, well, wait, you know, they're not that bad. And no, that's the wrong answer. You know, same thing with the flock cameras. When they asked about the flock cameras, Fishback said, no, we're going to ban the flock cameras in the state of Florida. We don't want a surveillance state here. I can't agree more, you know. If he's not lying, then he's the right guy for the job, because The other guy, Collins, which should have been the front runner, he's okay with it. Of course, Donald's the black guy. He's good for everything. He wants to defund the police, right? Wants more flock cameras and more data centers in Florida. He will fuck Florida over big time. And right now, I think he's neck and neck with Fishback, and I'm hoping Fishback, takes the lead and wins. That's who I'm going to vote for. But we're at a tipping point right now in Florida. If we get the wrong guy in there, he's going to fuck this whole state over. We get a little cold, but not like the north. That's true, Jason. It's not quite as bad, but it's still cold. All right, James, have a good one, man. Thanks for popping in. Be safe. And have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week, man. Jason, I could tell you stories about customers I dealt with. They had to leave the rifle at the border. They were not happy. I imagine. So I'm saying, a friend of mine went to Baja, Mexico some years back. He said, man, you ought to move down here. It's cheap. There's literally no crime. And he says, the only thing is, you can't own any weapons. I mean, none. No knives, no machetes, no guns. So, well, fuck that. I ain't going anyplace, or I can't own a gun. I guess he's doing okay there, but not me. I'd like to visit Shepherd Hills one day. Where's Shepherd Hills at? In Arkansas? I've been this side of the country. I've been to Missouri, Kansas, Illinois, Michigan, Alabama, all up the East Coast, every state in the East Coast except Vermont. Never went to Vermont. But I was all the way up in Maine. I checked that out. Back when I was younger, me and my first wife, we traveled the country a lot because we had the money, and it was a fun thing to do. We were actually looking for a new place to live because we both wanted to get out of Florida, and we wound up coming back anyway. But I never made it out further west. I think Kansas was as far as I went. Arkansas is right next to Kansas, isn't it? So I could have probably went there, but didn't think about it. Wisconsin, Minnesota, before they fucked that all up. I mean, oh, Maryland, Missouri, okay. I've seen a lot of the attractions, I saw the Arch in Missouri. Seen everything up in D.C. and I was in a diamond mine in was that in Alabama? No, I think it was the Panhandle of Florida. They had a diamond. I think. But no, maybe it was Tennessee. One of them places. And it's been a while. I've been a lot of places. Saw a lot of things, and it was all fun. That's right. Alabama. We got on the battleship. The USS Alabama. It's decommissioned. And they also had the submarine, which was tiny. It was like a 10-man sub. You're claustrophobic. That's not one place you would want to be. But it was cool shit to look out at, Arkansas has the only diamond mine. No, there was one. I mean, it was already mined out. But I'm pretty sure it was in Tennessee or Kentucky. I was bringing my sister down to visit my dad from Indiana. And we came down through that way instead of down 75. I think we took the long way around. And we saw it. I said, you want to stop and check it out? We went it was like 150 foot down. They turned off the lights. It was pitch black. You couldn't see nothing. They turned them back on. It was pretty cool. It was already, like I said, it was already mined out. Now the one in Arkansas might still be feasible or mineable. There's a fake diamond mine somewhere else, but it's mostly quartz. Oh, that could be. I mean, it was a tourist attraction. I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, we didn't see any diamonds. We just went down this fucking, you know, mine shaft, and it was cool. Jason, go find a big diamond. I'd like to find a diamond. But, I've been to 49 of 50 states. Only state not is in South Dakota. I know, Tom, you've been there. You've been around the world too, man. And you say you were in South America and over in Europe, and you got to go to a lot of different places. I never left the country. I never really wanted to. I said I ventured into Canada once, briefly. I said everything was in French. I knew something was wrong. I turned around. There was no checkpoint there. It was a back road. I don't know if it's still there. And I was up there. I got there through Michigan. No, Illinois. Either Illinois or Michigan. I got lost, and like I said, I wound up in fucking Canada because everything was in French, and I'm going, well, I don't think we're in America anymore. So I turned around and got the hell out of there. Ain't never been to Hawaii or Alaska either. Tom says, Jim, 25 countries. Yeah, you're well traveled, Tom, without a doubt. So if I'd have had money, I might have done it, but like I said, I did most of my traveling with my first wife. We didn't have a lot of money. I mean, we did all right, but I wasn't wealthy. So like I said, we would just jump in the car and cruise around and shit. But I said, then after I got divorced, I wound up going a little further out west. I had to go to Minnesota for a seminar for Toro lawnmowers because I was working at the golf course then, and they wanted me to attend this seminar, and they were going to fly me. I said, I don't fly. You rent me a car, I ain't going. So they rented me a car, and I drove over there. And I got to check out. Like I said, never been to Wisconsin before, so I went through Wisconsin, then into Minnesota. I was in a motel right across the street from the what the hell's that? The big mall that they got there, the Mall of America. And that was cool because I spent every little bit of time I had, because I was up there for about a week. So in between the seminars, I would go across the street and check out the mall. I had a lot of fun. It was cool. And of course, the company paid for everything. They gave me a gold credit card with no limit on it. So I didn't get in any trouble. But I had a nice hotel room. I didn't spend any of their money on anything I wanted, but I did get some. They had porn films in the motel room. You had to pay for them, like $2 for each movie. So watched a couple of pornos, and I had a blast, man. Any place I ate was on the company. So like I said, I bought a few things, personal things from the mall. I used my money on, but they paid for the gas and the car rental and everything. I mean, it was cool. They must have thought I was weird though, because I wouldn't fly. So it took me 2 days to get there. Well, yeah, just about, because I actually got at the seminar 20 minutes before it started. Because basically the seminar was in the motel in the lobby where it originated. And I got there 20 minutes before it started. I'd never been to Chicago either. I drove to Chicago, had my 45 with me, because I don't travel unarmed, And I'm halfway in Chicago, and everybody's driving like fucking lunatics. I mean, I had a Honda. He must have been doing 120, 130, maybe more. I mean, he blew by me like I was standing still. I'm doing 100, because that's all a fucking car would do. About 100, 102, somewhere around there. And I was having a tough time keeping up with the rest of the traffic. Not a cop anywhere. But I got my briefcase, the 45's in it, right on the front seat. And I got the thing, and shit, if I get pulled over and they search the car, I'm going to prison for 10 years. Because it's 10 years automatic if you're caught with a firearm. Whether it's legal or not doesn't matter. You can't have one in Chicago. Fortunately, I didn't get pulled over. Now, once we got out of Chicago, there were fucking troopers everywhere, and nobody did a mile over the speed limit. You know, so as I said, it was kind of really fucked up, but it was weird, though. Tom says, Derek, Hawaii for 2 weeks vacation, Alaska worked for 8 months. Cool. So no deadwood, Tom. I met a guy that worked on the pipeline in Alaska back in the late 70s or early 80s. He was in Florida on vacation. They were paying him something like $2,000 a week to drive a truck back and forth, you know, in Alaska. You know, he wasn't over the road or anything. But he said he had to live in a tent because hotel rooms are like $1,000 a night. A fucking steak dinner was like $500. He says you got paid good, but everybody tried to get that money off you. You know, the prices were, you know, you had to live like a pauper. So he ate canned food, slept in a tent, and he was going to stay there for a year to amass, you know, a lot of money so he can retire on it. I'm sure he did. But that was weird. Thomas, you have to go to South Dakota then. There you go. Which is it, South Dakota that has the Mount Rushmore, or is it North Dakota? I can never remember which. Did you see one of those? Did you see Mount Rushmore, Tom? That's only true, Derek, at the very top. I can't remember the name of the town, but I think there's only one town or city that has literally 24 hours of darkness at part of the year and 24 hours of daylight the other part of the year. Because it's like right at the top. I think maybe it's Nome, I don't remember. But not all Alaska's like that, only the very top northern end. My brother was stationed in Alaska in the Army. And I can't remember where he was. He might have been near Nome. That's what I think it's Nome. But he says, yeah, it was fucked up because you had to have black shades on the windows during the daylight because it never got fully dark. It was like twilight. The rest of the time it was daylight. So then same thing with night. It would be dark and then it would be a little bit like twilight and then go back to dark again. It was kind of fucked up. Tom says that's in South. I thought it was South Dakota, Mount Rushmore. I would have liked to have seen that. I'm not going to do it now because I can't drive that far anymore. But I mean, it would take me a month to get there. I would have liked to have seen that. You know, I wasn't interested in the Grand Canyon. Yeah, why would you want to look at a big ditch? Mount Rushmore, I thought would have been cool. I'm still waiting for Trump to have his head put on there. You know, I have a feeling he's going to try and do it. Yeah, Sturgis is in South Dakota. I had another friend. He's died now. He's old age, but he was a Harley rider. He used to go to Sturgis every year. He would trailer the bike to get there and then bring the bike out for the actual festivities. I thought, well, that's kind of cheating, isn't it? Derek says, summertime through fall, tons of sun, hard to sleep. Exactly. Big Jim Thomas can take you. Yeah, right. I don't have the money anyway, shit, you know. My wife kind of gets up and says, we don't do anything. We don't travel. We don't go anywhere. We can't afford it, you know. This shit, I mean, the price of gas, and I wouldn't want to use my own car. Why run the shit out of my own car? I'd want to rent one. I mean, you're looking at just to go up north, like to Indiana. You know, you're looking at almost $2,000 round trip between gas, car rental, food. You know, I mean, at least we'd have a place. We wouldn't have to worry about a motel because my sister would put us up. But she has a big house and lives alone. But you know, it's just, and like I said, I used to drive up north every couple of days. You know, I made 11 trips one month up to Indiana from Florida. You know, from Naples. I can't do that anymore, man. I mean, I probably could, but I can't run straight through anymore. Yeah, I used to drive straight through, man. It'd take me, well, depending on what I was driving and how fast I was driving. One time I made it up there in like 13 hours to Indiana from Naples. Average speed was 140. You know, most time it takes about 19 hours. I could stay up for 24 hours easy back then. You know, but now that shit ain't happening, man. So, you know, it is what it is, but I mean, I wouldn't mind. If I had the money, I'd probably do it anyway. You know, even if it took I mean, I went up to New York right after I had the stroke. I had a friend come down and drive me up there. You know, and then I got fed up with her and things weren't working out too well, so I drove myself down. It took me 3 days to get from New York to fucking Naples, Florida. You know, I couldn't drive that long, man. I'd drive for a few hours, grab a motel for the evening, next morning go out, drive for more. I mean, you know, it was rough, man. It is right after I had my stroke anyway. The BMW I was driving, that was my car. I had a 320i with a convertible. Well, it was a convertible. I think technically it was a 320e. I don't remember, but I put a 5-speed in it before I had the stroke. So I had to retrain myself to drive a stick because the right leg doesn't work that good. I could work the gas pedal with my right leg, but I can't get it onto the brake quick enough. So I'd have to throw it neutral and then use my left foot to brake with. And then, you know, I could, once I was stopped, I could put my right foot on the brake pedal to hold it. And then work the clutch and gas as I needed. It kind of had to, you know, work my way around things. I got pretty good at it after a while, you know. I can still drive a stick, but I don't drive it the way most people do. You're supposed to use your right foot on the gas and the brake, your left foot's the clutch. I use my left foot for the clutch and the brake. Even in the car with automatic, I'm still using my left foot to hit the brake because I can't get my right foot on the brake quick enough because it's fucked up from the stroke. So, you know. There, so they just made I-95 super. Yeah, I read that. All kinds of mandatory fines and electronic monitoring. You can't do 100 anymore. You can't make Florida from New York in 12 hours anymore. Exactly. I mean, that sucks, you know. And I made that trip a few times, too. You know, Florida to New York, Florida to New Jersey. You know. One time I took the train up to Jersey, Amtrak, with my oldest son. And we rented a U-Haul up there, 26-footer, and a trailer. So, you know, I put her on a plane. We moved all her stuff into the truck. But she had a, what the fuck kind of car was that? And I can't even remember now, but it starts with an A. No, not an Acura, the other one. Anyway, put her car in the trailer and drove back. You know. And, you know, I would run 10, 15 over the speed limit wherever I could, you know. You do that now, like I said, they'll pop you. It's bullshit, you know. And I don't know what their problem is with doing 100 mile an hour. 100 mile an hour ain't shit, you know. It's the same problem here, even on I-75. Well, they got the super speeder law in Florida. No, not an Audi. What's the other expensive car? Ah, damn it. A Lexus. Where I got an A from. She had the Lexus. That was a nice car, man. But, and I drove it a few times up there because they don't move, you know. And it's funny because in Jersey, you have to drive fast, otherwise you'll get killed, you know. And like I said, Jersey is that stupid shit where they don't have a lot of left-hand turns. So, you know, I got like on the main road. It wasn't a turnpike, but it was some main road. You had to drive for like 5 miles to find an off-ramp to get across the road to make the left. Yeah, I think you went under or over, I don't remember, the main road. And then backtrack to get to the store you wanted to go to in the first place. It was fucking stupid. I know there's no way in Lexus. I fucked up, man. I couldn't remember. Anyway, I drove for a Lexus. It was a nice car, man. I couldn't afford one, you know, but them fucking things, they'll move, man. You put your foot in the gas, they fucking go, you know. And she was an old woman. I think, what the hell's she doing driving a race car, you know? I mean, it really wasn't a race car, but it could have been. And, I said, well, now I understand. I forgot I had been up in Jersey since I was a kid, you know. Well, that's not true. I went to look at the old house back when I was 23. 22 or 23 years old. Took the first, you know, my first wife up and we went and checked it out. I wanted to go see the old house, Carteret. Nothing changed. Everything was exactly as I remembered it, you know. And we left there in '69. So it's like, when did we go up there? I was 1980 something. So, you know. And like I said, I've always driven fast, man. It's not a big deal for me, you know. My car, it's got a limiter on it. It only do 111. You know, my Grand Marquis, but I do 105 all the time on I-75, or used to. I won't do it now because you get caught. You don't get a ticket, you go to fucking jail. You know, you impound your fucking car. It ain't worth it, man, you know. But I think it's stupid. And, you know, if everybody else is doing 95 and 100, I'm not doing 70. You know, that's fucking suicide. I'll do what everybody else is doing. Yeah. I've been behind cops that were doing over 100. How come they get away with it, but I can't? Bullshit. Of course, if you're behind them, yes, you can get away with it. There's some law or something in Florida, maybe it's everywhere, I don't know. It basically says if they're not in pursuit with their lights and siren on, they're supposed to be setting an example for the rest of traffic. If they speed, you could do whatever you want behind them, but don't pass them. And I've done that before too, let me tell you. Derek says, I picked up a new 4-door Lexus with 4 of my friends in the car going to a NASCAR race in Pocono, Pennsylvania. We were doing 140. When I looked at the speedo, it felt, yeah, I know, they're do 140, 145 easy, you know. And they ride nice, man. You know, it's a glorified Toyota, you know that, right? Lexus is actually owned by Toyota. They are nice cars, man. My speedometer goes up to 140, but I've only had it up to 100. Wish my speedo went to 140. Mine goes up to 120, but you can't do 120. You know, I think the first time I tried to see what it'd do it was still pretty new. I think I only had like 20 some thousand miles on it. And I had to take my other stepdaughter to Fort Myers to go get her fucking, it's a shot you get for when you're addicted to some shit. Methadone or something, I don't remember what it was, but, and we were running late, so I said, well, let me see what this car will do. So I put it to the floor and fucking let her run, and 111 on the dot, man. Wouldn't go a quarter mile an hour faster. I said, well, that sucks. I gotta lose that fucking governor, you know. It's electronics, though. I understand you could bypass them with the right equipment. The car is capable of 150, believe it or not. That 4.6, they're basically, it's a race motor. And you could easily get the 150 on it without hurting the motor, but, you know. I guess they didn't figure they wanted old people, because most people that drove those cars were old. They didn't want them doing 150 mile an hour down the roads. But the cops have basically the same motor. They have the interceptor chip in them. If I could have got my hands on an interceptor chip, for the computer, I'd be able to do, I think, 150, almost 160. So it's all in the programming. And they make programmers where you can modify all that shit, but the programmers are like $500-600. I'm not ready to spend that kind of money. Plus, you got to have the dual exhaust, which I don't have, and I think that's all you got. All you need is dual exhaust. Cause I already got the better injectors on there, and I got a spacer for the throttle body. They do make a bigger throttle body, but I don't think you have to have it. But I mean, pretty much every car I ever owned would do at least 140. I had a couple of them, damn near did 150. Because I built things and they ran, but you can't afford to build an engine anymore. I mean, last engine I built was a Pontiac 350. Had about a little over $1,200 into it. Had the crank turned and balanced. And I had done a lot of work done. Forged pistons, chrome molly rings. I mean, I did all the head work myself. And that car would do 145 easy, and quick. Today, if you tried to do that, you would need probably about $10,000. I don't have that kind of money. They ruined everything. Used to be where cars weren't that terribly fast back in the day. Some were, but most weren't. But if you got 140, 145, we figured you were doing good. My Malibu did 145 with a 283 in it that I built. I was pushing probably around 400, 450 horse. And a 2-speed automatic too, no less. I mean, I could be going down the road 60 mile an hour, slam it in the first and floor it, and actually roast the tires at 60 miles an hour. Kid you not. Did it a few times. Did it to my dad once, thought he was going to have a fucking heart attack. He didn't see the humor in it. I thought it was cool, but I was young and didn't get it. But I don't know. I think it's bullshit. Like I said, that I don't believe in speed limits except in residential areas. If you're in a residential area, then I think 30 mile an hour is a reasonable speed. If you're on an interstate or an empty road, who the hell cares if you're doing 100, 150, even 200 mile an hour? Chances are, if you kill anybody, it'll be yourself, And until you fuck up, they shouldn't bother you. If you can get from point A to point B without hitting anything, or getting in some sort of an accident, who the fuck cares? So I'm saying, I don't understand, I took a Dodge Viper to, 198 on I-75. It was some years back. Car was brand new. Guy bought it for his wife. She couldn't drive that fucking thing. They were both in their late 60s, And she looked at him. He paid cash for it. I think it was like $90,000. He had more money. He had brains. He bought it for it. He says, yeah. He says, it was her birthday present. She looked at me. She says, take it back. I can't drive that fucking thing. Had a 6-speed in it, Fucking fast as shit. So he comes over and I had my shop with him. He says, do you want to go for a ride in it? I said, fuck no, I want to drive it. He said, are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, you're taking it back, right? He said, you got insurance on it, so, let me drive it. You come with me. He says, well, how fast do you think it is? I said, well, it's supposed to do 200 miles an hour. I said, my personal record is 168. I'd like to break that, and I'd love to hit 200 mile an hour. Just once. He said, what are you going to do? I said, well, you come here on Sunday morning. We'll get an I-75. There's nobody on the road. And we'll put it down and see what it does. So he did. Next weekend come up. He came over to the shop. He says, you ready? Fuck yeah, I am. I hopped in the driver's seat, took it over to 75, and started out. We didn't, get crazy with anything, but I got up to 198 and it started vibrating, and I got scared. I said, at this speed, something goes wrong, man. We're going to die. So I backed off. I never hit 200, 2 mile an hour away from it. But my new personal record's 198, so I figured, Instead, I did 168 in a Corvette, split window. I put a 454 in that was built for a guy I knew. And the deal was, I got to drive it once after it got the engine in there for him. So I got it running, and once again, like an idiot. I was just a kid. I was like, 16? I was 15 or 16 years old, but I was a good driver, Not very bright. Naples Park, where I lived, is a residential road. We had 8th Street, which is a straight run, no stop signs on it. It's about, I think, 1.5 miles long, maybe it was 2 miles. I went on one end and put it down, and only had a 4-speed in it, but 168 mile an hour, I had to start braking because I would have ran out of road. If somebody would have ran a stop sign, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. Not the smartest thing I ever did, but hey, I was a kid. I didn't think I could die at that time. Derek said I had a 7340 Dart and it did 165, and the front end would float at that speed. Yeah, they were known for that. Well, a lot of cars did. I put an air dam on it to hold the front end down, and it still only did 165. The air resistance wouldn't let it go. That's true. Yeah, a little weight in the front might have helped too, but, a lot of the old cars used to float. Most of the ones I did. I had a Corvair. I was doing 110 mile an hour in it. It was a 67 two-door. It was a 66, no, the 66 two-door. 67 was a 4-door that I had. When I took the 2-door, I was going up over a bridge, a small bridge, like an overpass, and the front end came off the ground. Because, they don't have any grills on them. And the front end is angled like this. So when the wind hits it, it pushes it up. Fucking front wheels come off the ground. I like to have a fucking heart attack, And I went home, got some cinder blocks, threw them in the trunk, which is in the front, because rear engine, and never had that problem again. You got 4 cinder blocks in the trunk to hold the front end down. I ran out of motor. Yeah, there you go. And like I said, they had some nice cars back in the day, Like I said, I drove a lot of fast cars, and I had a friend had a Plymouth Roadrunner. Had the 440. Just the 4-barrel on it, though, because they had the one with 2 4s, they had one with a 6-pack, and I think one with an 8-pack. But he just had the single 4-speed manual. He didn't know how to drive it, The guy had told him, oh yeah, this will get rubber in all 4 gears. So this idiot puts it in first, spins the tires, stops, puts it in second, spins the tires a little bit, stops, puts it in third, and stalls it. And before he says, that guy lied to me. It doesn't get rubber in all 4 gears. I says, Johnny, let me show you how this thing works. He goes, what? You know how to drive? I said, oh, yeah, I'm the better driver you'll ever be. So he sat in the passenger seat, and I had that thing, man. I had that car sideways in first and second. Still got a good squeal out of third and a chirp out of fourth. So that's what he was trying to tell you. Holy shit, man. I said, you need to learn how to drive a stick properly, He burned the clutch out of it like 2 months later, and all of us got together and put a new clutch in it for him. I'll tell you what, that fucking transmission must have weighed a ton. 4 of us under the car trying to push it up and get it in place. Crazy. But that was a fast car, and then he broadsided an old lady. He was in the fast lane, there was a truck in the slow lane, and this woman on the side street, she thought she could beat the truck to cross the road. She didn't see him, As soon as she got out, boom, he just fucking T-boned her. Killed her, you know. He didn't get in any trouble for it. He almost turned that Corvair into a Corsair. Yeah, if I'd had wings on it, probably would have flew, you know. I like that car. I paid $65 for that car, you know. And I bought it for my first wife, actually, you know. It was a decent running car, ran good. The paint job was fair on it, interior was clean, you know. But I had a lot of problems with the automatic transmission in it. Because they had it up on the dash, and it didn't have park, reverse, neutral, drive, and low. And the park you had to set the brake, because that was the only way you can hold it in place. But that was all. I mean, it was either that or they did make a 3 and a 4-speed for them. They were real hard to find. Otherwise, I would have converted it. But she drove that car for almost 2 years. And I don't remember why we sold it. But, you know, I bought her a bigger car because she wanted a bigger car. So I bought her it was a 73 Pontiac Grand Prix. And she liked that car too, but we used to take turns racing each other across town. Sometimes we'd swap cars. She'd take my Le Mans, I'd take her Grand Prix. And I don't like to lose. So they were 4-laning Airport Road at the time. We were on Airport Road. She was ahead of me by about 30 lengths. I couldn't get around the traffic, so I went up on the new section, which was about 2 foot taller than the old road. And I fucking put the hammer down and I blew right by her, man. And then there was a bunch of heavy equipment in the middle of the road. I had to leave the road. I couldn't stop. So I launched the car like off a 2 foot, drop and landed so hard on the left front tire that it bent the axle. Still drivable, but it wasn't right. So she was kind of pissed off at me. She said, I'll buy you another car. So I junked that one and I bought her a 76 Pontiac Le Mans. I had a 73. And we were going, I don't remember why, but we were going through, I can't remember the town now here in Florida. And there was a junkyard out by the main road. And I saw this Le Mans. Perfect car, man. I mean, it looked perfect. It had a brand new paint job on it. But it was an ugly color. It was like a puke gray or something like that. Grayish green. But I said, I'm going to go and talk to them and see if he'll sell that. I wound up buying that car for $200. It drove, had no brakes, I mean none. And the V8 in there was only running, I think, 6 cylinders. The 2 of the cylinders were dead. But, I bought it, paid cash for it right there, got the title for it, and drove it back to Naples. And, I said I had no brakes, so I had to be really careful, because, there was none. I mean, the emergency brake worked a little bit, but, but the regular brakes, you just push to the floor, nothing happened. Bad master cylinder. I got it home. I put another 350 in there, Pontiac 350, fixed the brakes, put all power, everything in there, power seats, power windows. It had working air conditioning, which was cool. Sent it and had it repainted. Made a Landau top for it because I didn't like it had a regular vinyl top on there, and I'm not a big fan of vinyl tops. So we'll take it down to a Landau so that some of the roof is painted. That car was beautiful, man. She drove that car for almost 6 years. And I did drive it, but she didn't like me driving. I said, look, I promise I won't wreck it. But, they had a lot of different cars, though, man. I just always found deals on them and shit. Back in the day, you could buy a car for $25-50. And a Volkswagen Beetle, a 71 Super Beetle. My ex-wife's girlfriend inherited $400,000 when her dad passed. So she bought another car. So she come over, she says, do you want the Volkswagen? What do you want for it? She said, no, I'll give it to you. She said, yeah, I'll take it. Needed a clutch. Still ran, but the clutch was slipped a little bit. I put a clutch in it, cost me like $20, you know. And drove that car for another 3 years. And then sold it for $1,500. You know. And it was a fun car to drive. It wasn't very fast. It had a 4-speed in it. You know, because I had another friend, she had the same car, but with an automatic. She says, hey, can we trade cars for the day? I says, why? She says, I want to see what the difference is between the standard and the automatic. Yeah, sure, why not? So I drove her automatic, she drove my stick. Well, that didn't sound right, did it? Yeah. That fucking automatic was a dog, man. I couldn't wait at the end of that. So you take this piece of shit and keep it. She says, why? She says, it doesn't fucking move out of its own way. She says, well, it's not as fast as yours is. I said, the stick makes it a lot better to drive. I said, oh, absolutely. You know. So I couldn't wait to get my car back. But so, and like I said, I had a lot of different cars. They were fun cars to drive, you know. I wish I'd have kept the Corvair. It was a 67 4-door Corvair Monza. I should have kept that. It was given to me. It ran for a short time, and then I couldn't keep. I don't know what, something was draining the batteries in them. And we charge up the battery or buy a new battery. It wouldn't turn over. We'd wind up killing the battery. And I could never figure out what the hell was wrong, so I got disgusted with it. I ripped the engine and transaxle out. Had a friend who had a differential from a 57 Bel Air. I mounted that in the back, cut out the trunk, and put in motor mounts. So I was going to put a V8 in the front. I didn't have the money to do it, but somebody found out I was doing it, and they contacted another guy out in California somehow. This guy comes to the house from California and says, how much do you want for the car? I said, what do you mean? He says, I want to buy it. I said, well, it's not normal. It's not stock anymore. He says, no, I heard you were going to convert it and put a V8 in. I said, it's ready for everything. The rear end's in there. And the motor mounts are in and the transmission mounts in. You just need a V8 and a transmission to drop in and you're ready to roll. So I sold the car for, what did I get for that? $2,000. Which wasn't bad for a car that didn't run without a motor. And he took it to California. I assume he finished it, but I never heard from him again. But I liked that car. It was a cool car to have. I've had old Tornados. I had a couple of Delta 88s. I had an old 98 and a Buick Vista Cruiser station wagon. Gave $25 for that. And I blew that up about a month later. I couldn't handle it. That was a nice car though, man. Had air conditioning that worked, power, everything. Had a 340 V8 in it. And yes, Buick did make a 340 cubic inch engine. It wasn't the same as in the Chrysler products or Dodge or Plymouth, but it was a 340 cubic inch. It was kind of it was a pretty powerful motor. I mean, it moved that big station wagon around pretty good, He said I tossed a rod in it and said, well, that's it for that. So I junked it. Had a 59 Ford. I got that for $25. Had a bad rear seal in it. You had to keep putting oil in it. Went through about 4 quarts a week. But I put drain oil in there. I went to go to the gas station and said, look, can I get drain oil off? He says, yeah. He says, you got a container for it? I'd have 5-gallon containers. Every week I'd go there and get 5 gallons or whatever I needed. Put it in the motor and it would eventually run out. And, I wound up playing demo derby with another guy in an old car. Went out in the field and played demolition derby with both of them. And then abandoned them. I had a 55 Oldsmobile. That was given to me. So like I said, I think I had, by the time I turned 20, I think I had bought or received something like 135 cars, different cars. Like you said, they were cheap or they were free. And I was always looking for something that nobody else had. But when I got the 55 Ford, or the 59 Ford rather, I figured nobody in Naples is going to have one of these. So I bought it. I paid $25 for the thing. It was cool because it had a tourist hood open backwards on it. And I mean, nobody's going to have one of these. So I saw like 4 of them. That's like, what the fuck, you know? Didn't matter what the hell I bought. There was always a few of them in town somewhere. Somebody had one. So I kind of gave up on that after a while. You know, I said, I'm just going to get something I like and keep it. Never wrecked a single car, except for, like I said, I bent the axle in my ex-wife's Grand Prix, but never been in an accident. Knock wood. Yeah. Only have a handful of speeding tickets. They used to mostly get me on, you know, equipment stuff, you know, like loud muffler or no muffler, bog tires, headlight out, you know, stupid shit. But back in those days, it was $15 for, you know, a non-moving violation. So I figured it was cheaper just to pay the ticket than it was to fix the problem. So, anyway, those were the days, weren't they? And those days are long gone, unfortunately. Anyway, it's almost 8:45. I think we're going to knock off at 8:45. So you got 6 minutes to talk about anything you want to talk about. I about run out of shit to talk about anyway, right? I think probably tomorrow I'll start videotaping, and I'm gonna put these LEDs in place in the tunnel. And then after I get these all wired up into a single connector, I can just plug in, I'll probably start building the mountain. Like you said, I got a ton of cardboard, not just that box. I got more boxes in the house, so I shouldn't have any. I'll just cut up the strips, and I got plenty of hot glue and start gluing away, man. I'm gonna have some fun. Yeah. No. We'll see. I said I'll videotape all of it so y'all can see what I did. I'll play it at the next show, and you can follow along as I progress. Again, once I get the main thing set up, I'll put it in place, and then I'll put the you know, whatever bushes, grasses, dirt, and all that stuff. That'll go on after it's been put in place. So I'm just going to get the basic framework done, and the covering. That'll do off on the bench here. And we'll see how that goes. Anyway. I finished. Let me pull that thing off the printer. Should be cool enough to just pop off right now. That came out nice. Fucking wheels. Let me get repositioned over here. There we go. Fucked up, right? New power supply is doing really good, Chuck. This is the one portal with the indent for the above ground rail to drop in here. That's the only way I could do this. Like I said, I'm going to paint and weather all 4 of these. Only 2 of them will have the relief cut in it. The next one will be full size. And I'll do that before it goes on too. Anything that's easier to do on the bench, I'll do on the bench. Power supply is great, man. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you can see this or not. Don't get too dizzy. There it is right there. Pretty nice. It's pretty good size, but variable voltage and wattage, or amps I should say. I got it set at 16 volts and 9 amps. It only takes what it needs. So most of the time it's running about just under 2 amps is all draw it takes. And the 16 volt is pretty much normal for DCC operation, so yeah, I'd say it's doing pretty good. What did I pay for that? $50, I think? It's a good deal, man. So, and that solved the power problem, obviously, so hopefully it'll last me a few years and I won't have to fool with it for a while. But it's weird because I was going to run trains earlier. They said I removed a section of track from the inside main down there where the bridge was. Apparently, I don't know how or why, but I lost power to everything when I disconnected that. So when I put it back in, everything will be powered up again. So however I got this fucking thing wired up, it might be a little strange, and I might have to drop some more feeders, you know, which I probably should have done to begin with, but they say you really don't need feeders unless you're over something like it's 50 or 60 foot. Another place will tell you to put them every 3 foot. There doesn't seem to be any real standard for it. And like I said, basically I've got a feeder on this end, a feeder on that end, and I think 2 feeders on back there. And I think the way I've got it set up is they work from the inside rail to the outside rail. So they're not on separate feeders, each rail, which is probably a mistake, but that's the way I did it. Anyway. Alright, well, I'm going to wrap it up. And we'll see y'all next week. And look forward to seeing more work on the tunnel project. That's what we're going to call it. And we're going to see how it comes along, and hopefully I'll prove my worth with a well-designed and well-detailed tunnel and mountain system. Fingers crossed. Anyway, guys, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you taking the time to put up with my shenanigans. That's another $10 word I like. And we'll see you next week. So I'm going to run the outro. Don't forget to flip the finger off to the signal man. He's still there. I don't think he's ever going to leave. So do what you got to do, and we'll see you next week.